Seriously? No. Seriously? President Joe Biden seems to be preparing to officially announce his bid for the 2024 presidential elections. This after Texas Governor Greg Abbott hands Biden a letter saying that his border visit is 2 years too late. Seriously though, guys, I'm not sure if anybody in their right mind would vote again for Biden after what he's done to the American people and to our country, but you know what? I'm not here to judge. Let me know what you guys think on that. In fact, the latest poll shows how Americans have very little appetite for a Biden-Trump rematch in 2024. That was a little bit shocking to me, to be honest with you. Now, why don't we take a look at the top candidates for presidency for 2024, both from the Democrats and from the Republicans. Yeah, we're covering it all right here in this video today. Also, if you own a home, make sure to get your free home warranty quote. The link is in the description down below. And me personally, I even got the home warranty myself. But what was really shocking is that I was able to add this warranty to a home that I've owned for over 13 years. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting tidbit. Make sure to get your free home warranty quote. The link is in the description down below. Now, last I heard, President Biden was still undecided about running for re-election in 2024. Here he is in that 60-minute. Okay, so now if we fast forward to today, sources are now saying that President Biden is preparing to launch his bid for re-election in 2024. You heard it here first, guys. Now, according to a close ally of this 80-year-old president, U.S. President Joe Biden is all in to make a rerun for the White House in the presidential elections in 2024. Now, at this point, it's about timing. It's not really if he wants to run anymore. They're set to make the official announcement sometime in the near future, potentially around the time of the State of the Union address to Congress. Another thing that we're looking forward to for our upcoming updates. The potential rerun would mean that the oldest president would turn 82 years old by the time he plans to begin his second term, and he would be 86 years old when the term concludes. Now, according to one Democratic lawmaker who wished to stay anonymous, President Biden and his family agreed to the decision during a Christmas trip to St. Croix, but decided to keep the plan under wraps until House Republicans elected their new Speaker of the United States House, since the Speaker also has the responsibility to set the date of the State of the Union speech. Now, another source close to President Biden's 2020 campaign with knowledge of the president's plans said a more formal announcement is expected to come in April. And like you heard in that interview, guys, it's Biden's intention to run again. It's just a matter of formally making the announcement. So yeah, I think it's more of a when at this point rather than if Biden's going to run. All right, so behind the scenes, his advisors are meeting with key allies and are putting together an expansive and revamped digital presence. Last month, a group of Biden's top advisors met with key allies and constituency groups to talk about the president's agenda. But one attendee commented that it had the feel of a strategy session ahead of a campaign launch. Already, President Biden's aides, they've been quietly building the infrastructure needed for a new campaign. Kind of like that preemptive strike that we talked about the other day. Now, according to the Washington Post, aides were working to expand their digital footprint on platforms such as TikTok and WhatsApp. Are we going to see more suppression from these social media apps? Yeah, we'll talk more about that in the future. Now, I have to say, they have to get their timing right. Sure, Biden's got some wins under his belt with the midterm election results and some slowing down in inflation, but it's turning out to be yet another very tough year for the White House and for the country as a whole. Now, starting with President Biden's visit to Texas and Governor Greg Abbott saying that it's $20 billion too little and 2 years too late. Now, he pretty much said so in the letter he handed to President Biden on the tarmac where Abbott met the president in Texas. Abbott also didn't let it pass that President Biden's visit avoids the sites where mass illegal immigration occurs and pretty much sidesteps the thousands of angry Texas property owners and real estate investors whose lives have been destroyed by President Biden's border policies. Abbott claimed in the letter that downtown El Paso had been sanitized, quote unquote, sanitized of the migrant camps that he said had overrun the city in an attempt by the administration to shield Biden from the chaos that Texans experience on a daily basis. He said that this chaos is the direct result of Biden's failure to enforce the immigration laws that Congress enacted. He also accused President Biden again of emboldening drug cartels that are bringing fentanyl across the border. Now, with all of this, Abbott lays out 5 policy areas that he wants Biden to address that include complying with the statutes mandating that various categories of aliens shall be detained to stop unlawfully paroling aliens in masses, and to fully enforce the Title 42. the Trump-era policy that allows for migrants to be quickly expelled at the border without asylum processing. Now, on the other hand, Greg Abbott, he's also been criticized himself by Democrats for sending buses of migrants from Texas to various Democratic cities, including a bus of more than 100 migrants set to Washington, D.C. on a very, very cold Christmas. You know what, though? I think it's about time we all just start calling all of our senators and legislators to let them know what we think. What do you guys say? What would you say to your local lawmakers if you were to call them up right now? Let me know in the comments down below. Maybe we'll read some of your comments aloud in my next video. Now, hopefully our message goes viral and the words actually reach some of these lawmakers. So definitely drop some comments down below. All right, now going back to the presidential elections for 2024, do you guys really seriously want another Biden-Trump rematch happening? Or maybe, just maybe, we should look at some other brand new candidates already. Now, according to the latest poll, there's very little appetite for a 2020 rematch in the coming presidential election, as majorities of registered voters within each party say they'd rather see someone else new nominated in 2024. About 6 in 10 Republicans and Republican-leaning independents are now saying that they want their party to nominate someone other than former President Donald Trump in 2024, while a very similar 59% of Democrats and Democratic-leaning independents say that they would rather see anybody other than President Biden at the top of their ticket in the next presidential election. But here's something very, very interesting that came out about the poll. Now, when pressed, a majority of Republican-aligned voters who say that they would like someone other than Trump to win the nomination, they indicate that they would ultimately vote for him if he did emerge as the nominee. An even larger majority of the Democratic-aligned voters with a very similar opposition to President Biden as their party's nominees say that they would vote for him in a general election if he won the party's primary. Basically, it sounds like each of these candidates would be second pick, but if they had no other option, they'll probably vote for them. But looking at the support for Trump, it's certainly gone down as the year has progressed. In January of last year, the poll found a near even split, sitting at roughly 50% saying that they had hoped Trump would be a nominee and 49% kind of wanted somebody else. But by July, 44% wanted Trump to be the party's nominee. And now only 38% are saying the same. They also have other nominees in mind already. 47% have a specific alternate candidate in mind, including 38% who singled out Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. No other potential nominee was named by more than 1%. The survey also finds DeSantis' favorability among Republicans and Republican-leaning independent voters overall outpacing the former president's ratings. 74% view DeSantis favorably, 7% unfavorably, 63% have a favorable view of Trump, and 28% have an unfavorable one. Now, as for Biden, fewer now are saying that they would like Biden to be the nominee. 40% than those who felt that way back in January at 45%. Unlike Republicans, though, Democrats really don't have somebody else in mind. Nearly 3/4 are saying that they have no one specific in mind. Now, among those who do name another candidate, 5% mention Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, 4% say California Governor Gavin Newsom, and 4% are saying Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, 3% for Vice President Kamala Harris, and 2% for Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. But more broadly, though, the polls suggest a Biden bid for a second term might begin on some very, very shaky ground. Nearly 2/3 of Americans say that the president does not deserve re-election, 62%. Now, while only 37% are saying that he does, Republicans and Republican leaners are near universal in their view that he should not be reelected. 94% say he does not deserve a second term. Now, I don't know about you guys, you can holler at me in the comments below, but among Democrats and Democratic-leaning independents, 70% say that the president does deserve a second term. 28% says that he does not. Now, President Biden's sharpest critics within the party are, again, the youngest members of his party. Only 56% of those younger than 35 years old who align with the Democratic Party say that President Biden deserves a second term, compared with 80% among age 50 years old or older who are Democrats or Democratic leaners. Now, there was a time very recently when American presidential elections were said to be decided by 2 states, Florida and Ohio. The bad news for Democrats is that the 2022 election confirmed those are now effectively red states. And how? Republicans dominated statewide in both of those states, from governor on down, and won by double digits in almost every race, even though the national election overall was a disappointment for them. The good news for Democrats is that the rest of the Rust Belt and the Midwest in 2022 suggests the Trump era is pretty much wearing thin. Now, on the topic of Trump, I wonder if you guys could help me out with this one here. I've been hearing from some boots on the ground that a lot of people and even countries are actually being paid to go after Trump. Have you guys heard about this? Now, it's one thing after another to try to stop him, and I'm starting to think that there may be something to this conspiracy theory. But what do you guys think? I say people need to start dealing with their own faults, with their own lies, and with their own deceit. Am I right? Drop me a quick comment down below if you want me to cover more details about this in the next one. I'll be all too happy to look up more information for you guys. Just let me know what you're interested in the comments down below. And of course, I'm always asking for a little bit of patience, guys. The way it works, I release the videos, then I read your comments, and then I get to actually working on the content that you want me to talk about. That whole cycle takes about a video or so to actually come out, so don't worry if I don't pick up your comments right away. Promise I go through all of them though. In fact, I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys all the time. Anyway, that was today's big Biden 2024 update and daily news report. President Biden set to announce his presidential bid in the coming weeks. Are you guys gonna vote for Biden? We also covered the latest polls and how Americans don't really want another Trump-Biden matchup going into 2024. Plus, some very interesting names in the mix like Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Vice President Kamala Harris. I guess we'll have to tune in next time for the next update. Anyway, appreciate you guys stopping by. And an even bigger thanks for dropping a like for the video. Really appreciate that. I appreciate you. More news on the next one. I'll see you on the next one.